You're listening to The Parallel Paths, a podcast designed to elevate your mind, body, and spirit so that you can get everything you want out of life. The only question is, are you ready? Welcome back to the Parallel Paths podcast. I'm your co-host, Makeda Moore.
And I'm your other co-host, Blair McClendon.
And we're back. And it is a very special episode because this is episode 12, which means this is the last episode of season 1.
Hey.
Pause for season 1. we
made it.
Just the other day, I was like, damn, we actually did a full podcast.
For real, I thought about that too. I was like, man, we really, again, like it just kind of came and then we really ran through and did it.
The victors. We did some
and we got a lot more on the horizon. That's the exciting piece.
Yeah. It's just getting started. Yeah. Season 2 is gonna be dope once we roll it out. We already have some things that we're planning on doing now that is gonna be really awesome. But yeah, so what's been going on in your world this week, Blair? Before we dive into our topic today, we're gonna be talking about strategic planning, how to strategically plan out your life, to do things with intention, so that way you can ensure your success and to have a life that is worth living, a life that's worth writing a book about, writing a movie about, whatever it is, but just have an awesome life. It does take some strategic planning, so we're going to talk all about that today. But before we go into that, Blair, how has your week been? What's new on your coast?
It's been cool. Hot as normal. But been rainy. Been super rainy. But yeah, humid too. Feel like you're kind of walking underwater when you go outside. But yeah, weather-wise, it's same old same. It's Florida in the summer. But work-wise, this has been more of like a mental week for me. Instead of just being overly productive with creating different stuff, it's been more of like a planning week. So it's been a time for me to recharge, which has been needed. Still been working out and stuff like that. So that's part of the recharge for me. But I think like normal, just really listening to my body, listening to how I feel. Because even with the gym, like I was about to go work out on Monday, my arm just wasn't feeling right. I was like, nah, if I go to the gym today, I'm gonna hurt something. So took that day, you went the next day, felt amazing. So I just taking it a day at a time, as always. But it's been good. How about you?
Okay. It's funny because I was kind of in the same phase where I've been waiting, like even today I started like my strategic planning for the second half of this year, now that we're in July. And it's just like with all the moving and everything, it's like I was waiting for that time to really be able to sit down, get grounded, and like it's like I'm so used to living my life so planned out. But in that move from living in Florida to moving to California, I got rid of the typical plan that I would normally be like, doing all my work throughout the day. I was just, living, it was a different life, basically like being on vacation. Because I was, the priority was me moving and me, just being spiritually aligned, no pressure on myself kind of thing. So now, even like I can do my social media stuff, but now moving back to a place where I'm going to be doing my regular social media, going live, and I have work starting soon. So it's just like, this is another, like you, this is a time where I'm like, okay, it's time for me to start getting my plan done, now that I'm settled in my place. So that's how I kind of like, most of my week was just moving in, and then now at the point now I'm like, okay, now I can start doing some work. Got my Wi-Fi set up today. It was hard not having Wi-Fi for a few days. But yeah, my week has been pretty chill. Yeah.
That's what's up. What we got on the docket for this episode?
So, like I said, we're talking strategic planning. And when I guess like to me, I'm so used to now living like life with intention. But I also remember when I didn't think to set goals, like, you have an idea of something. And the thing is, I guess it's a start. You have to start by knowing what you want. and then creating a plan for that. So when I say strategically planning your life, it means think about what you want in life, and then it makes sense to come up with a plan to obtain it rather than just going through life floating by, just hoping that you end up there, but not really, getting specific like about that.
Right.
Have you been have you heard the term strategic planning, like as it relates to like life?
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of just come kind of natural to me, low key. Like even dating back to high school is when I can really remember.
Y'all, Blair is so
Like,
adaptive. He came out the womb adaptive. Like he was like,
hey,
actually not evolved.
not fully, but I mean, I'm an old soul, so it's not my first rodeo. But honestly, like just being able to know what I wanted, as far as like going to college in high school. So like from there, that's when I really started setting goals. Like, all right, I need to make sure A, B, and C is done to give myself the best opportunity to go to school where I want to go. And then from there, it's kind of just been the same thing. Um, Working in corporate, like depending on, I guess, the receptive energy, like it's like, are they fully bought into me? Like I would be bought into my job, would really determine on how hard I went. Cause I feel like I would always like, especially when I started a new gig, come out, especially in that first year, just knocking stuff out the park. And then it's like, you start to really see it's like, all right, I'm hitting the ceiling or I'm limited, I get bored, whatever it may be, get burned out, and then kind of just falls off. So I wasn't really worried about goals at that particular time. So after getting sick and stuff, then it was like, all right, now I got to shift my focus to more on my health and figuring that aspect out first, and then figuring out what I want to do from a business perspective. So
So for
then,
you, was it you had to come up with that, like your being a more conscious planner and uh, strategizer, if that's a word. It started with you getting your health, coming up with a plan for your health, getting your health back, and then from there, knowing that you didn't plan to return to corporate America, it then was like, okay, how can I strategize the rest of my life to allow me to be able to freely operate?
yep.
Okay. And I think for me, I think considering like my path was just like, oh, high school, then college, then grad school. It seems like I had some strategy and some plan, which I had the conditioned or the more like, what I was taught. Like this is just the plan, based off what other people were doing. And it wasn't until I wasn't happy in grad school because I didn't like, because for most other students in clinical and health psychology programs, it's like working in a hospital or working in a medical setting. And neither of those, I mean, working in a hospital, working in an academic setting. And to me, neither of those appealed to me. I didn't want to work for somebody. I didn't want to follow rules that I don't believe in. So at that point, I had to kind of get serious about carving out my own lane, which means I couldn't look at the blueprint somebody else wrote. I had to come up with my own blueprint. And that's where strategic planning and like, having goals and then creating actionable steps for those goals, and making them timely. So this is gonna be my for the next 6 months. This is for the next year, things like that. So that's kind of what's kind of pushed me into that more recently in my life.
One thing I will say, I always talk about diet being the foundation of really your existence. And when I say diet, I'm really talking about food intake. But once I started eating cleaner, I started being able to think clearer. So it's like I wasn't just setting goals just based off of other people or other outside things. Like I was able to really start tapping in more to how I'm feeling about whatever situation it might have been or whatever goal I was trying to reach. So it just made it a little bit easier in making decisions and all that type of stuff.
And I think that clarity you get from having a clean body is what helps you. This is an important part of being strategic about your life, is knowing what your values are. When you have that clean body, it allows you to recall what your values are once you actually establish them. Because a lot of times, most of us haven't even established what our values are. We haven't written them down and really, like, we can like say, okay, I kind of value like, you know, freedom and being healthy. But it's like, do you really, have you taken the time to really think about what are your core values as if you're a company, which you're your own corporation? What are your core values and what does that look like? So what does health look like for you? Because that might look different than someone else. Um, and when you can establish what your core values are and you can, you know, you have that clean body to where you can have a clear mind to remember your values, it makes it so much easier to make business decisions and know what, you know, what a smart goal is even for you, like what is even a relevant goal for you when you're so clear on your values and stuff.
It's also interesting too with how goals can affect you. So like, let's say if you're somebody who constantly achieves goals, it kind of like reinforces that habit of continuing to set goals and to continue to strive. But then there are people, um, including myself, where like, let's say if you set goals and then you're not meeting them, you might be too hard on yourself and then you end up beating yourself up. So where it's almost counterproductive setting them. So like, honestly, it really depends on what I'm doing. If I'm going to set a goal, I'll always have an end goal in mind and like a clear vision of what I want the end result to look like. But sometimes like I really have learned to just let the universe handle it. It's out of my hands. It's not
Right.
about how I'm going to get there, but I know I'm going to get there.
Right. And that's an important part of the allowing the manifestation process. It's like there's certain things that I will plan out, but then there's other things that don't require a plan right now, especially to where all through say, yes, it's my intention to have this thing. And then I just get out of the way because I know right now, if there was a strategy to it, I would have the strategy right here in hand. But the fact that I don't, I just know I'm gonna get to that end goal. How I get there, I don't care about. The universe can do that however it wants to do that. But there are certain things like you said, just like goals in general. Goals, having goals is so important because it gives you something to work towards. And if you read any of these books on like spirituality and living a happy, fulfilled, meaningful life, having a meaningful life is all about feeling like you're regularly making progress. You're right. Like that's what gives people meaning in life is feeling like they're progressing. And if you don't have goals, it's like, how do you know if you're progressing or not? How do you know if you're moving forward if you're not, you know, creating some type of somewhat endpoint, you know, even if it's a temporary endpoint, because once you meet that goal, you're obviously going to set another goal. But yeah, goals are so important for people to set.
It's almost like what we were talking about with that book, David Goggins.
Can't hurt me.
Yeah, it can't hurt me. But it's just like you have to fail in order to succeed. So, I mean, everything in life has its balance. It's yin and yang. So you got to experience the lows to experience the highs. So I also look at that just more so. Let's say entrepreneurship, for instance. Like at the end of the day, everything comes back to you. So why would I not bet on myself?
Right.
Like that's just the type of confidence that I have in me. And I would hope that everybody has that type of confidence within themselves. Like
And most people
anybody
don't.
can do. Yeah.
And that's why, and I feel like that's why some people don't set goals is because they don't even trust themselves to do it, you know, and like letting yourself down, like that hurts more than just living a basic life because you never set goals, you know. So people avoid that possibility.
I wonder why is that? Like, do you think that's just the way society and our environment has shaped certain people, or why do you think that lack of confidence is missing?
I do feel like there's a few problems. One is everybody's looking for immediate gratification. Social media, all these games, like just our world is created to give us immediate gratification. Therefore, if we could do something that requires a process, one, we our attention span is too short for it. Like I said, we're used to immediately getting something back from it. So I think that's one of the problems. And in part of that, it's hard if you're so used to immediate gratification, it's hard for you to even think about how to plan. Like knowing how to be strategic and plan something and set a goal is a skill. Like, some people just can't do it. Like for me, like that was something that was harder for me as someone who's considered to have ADHD, is putting the plan together. Like I can put, which is funny because I can put like connections between things together and make inventions and ideas and all this stuff. But when it comes to creating an event and then knowing the steps to get there, like that's not a skill for me. Like I learn when somebody takes me through an event and they point out all the things you got to think about, like all this stuff. But being strategic about a goal, like that's a skill I had to learn. But so I think that's another thing. People don't know how to approach goals. And I think a lot of times, like goals that are meaningful to you will often kind of make you step away from the crowd. And people don't like step away from the crowd, or they'll share their goal with somebody who's in that crowd, and then they shoot them down. So I think there's multiple factors.
No, that's definitely spot on. And again, that's why I always tell people really tap into your true essence, like that. Just think about like when you were a child and like the things that excited you and the things that you were naturally attracted to. Because just like what you said, you struggle at planning like the little intricate details and all that stuff. Like that's where I excel. So that's what I'm saying. Like everybody just kind of operates different. Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. So not even necessarily weaknesses, but like everybody has a talent in a different area that when collaborated in the right setting and with the right people, you actually get to utilize that talent. And I think that's where a lot of us have kind of missed the ball at. It's just not even necessarily being tapped in with our correct tribes and people of the frequency or the thought process that we're trying to achieve. And like you said, most times if somebody's shooting down your idea, that's them projecting their fears on you. So you can't listen to that. Like if you have that clear vision in your mind of what that end goal looks like, it's already done.
Right.
They can't see that same vision.
Yep. And the whole network thing that you were touching on, like that is something you should definitely strategize about. You should definitely use people in your life. They are a tool to you achieving your goals. Like if you're hanging out with people and you like it's in no way contributing to these goals you have, then you're wasting your time. All my friends in my life, like in a sense where I'm making money off of my friends because they're all adding value to me. Like they're helping me create, a podcast or, helping me promote a business or create an art show, whatever it is. Everybody who's within my network, and I'm strategic about people now, like now they're in a new city, I cannot wait to tap in and start really networking out here, and it's because I have these goals in mind. So when I cross paths with a person, I'm like, oh, I know this person he aligns with this or whatever it is. And, that's why it's important to be strategic about life, and you'll save yourself a lot of wasted time.
For sure. That's definitely something I wish I would have known when I started the entrepreneur route. Because it's like you're kind of on the island by yourself at times, and you don't realize how much you need a community to not only bounce ideas off of, but just for the support of just a mental day. Like if you just going through it and you just need somebody to talk to who can relate, like those things are important. So even with me and some of my business partners creating the collective small business mastermind group, like that was the idea behind that, to just start connecting more like-minded people who were within that same space of just business in general, not even the specific industry.
I just realized that's what SMB stands for. That's so dope. And honestly, when you were saying that, I feel like the most valuable thing about going to undergrad, going to college, is the potential for building a network. And most people don't even tap into that. They don't even utilize, because that's like the only place where you're with the new generation of workforce you know, of creators, of leaders, of, you know, CEOs, whatever. And it's like they're here, like, but I don't think we don't see the value in one another around or even, you know, think about that. So like, nah, you should be, this is the time to be connecting, you know, with people in college.
Man, that is crazy because I know during my time, I mean, some of my best friends I met at UF, but you're not necessarily thinking of it in that moment in time at 18, 19, 20, 21 of you're sitting next to the CEO of this upcoming company that you can't even fathom yet, but that's really what it was. And I can honestly say by partying and like having fun and really living the full college experience, that's where I was able to kind of build that network and make a lot of friends and just different connections that will last a lifetime. So, I mean, that's definitely to me the most valuable piece that I took away from school. Because I mean, I'm definitely in that majority who has a degree but not utilizing it. So I definitely.
And that's the thing, is that that network you built could bring you more wealth than that degree could. I mean, that, you know, the tuition cost. So, you know, that alone minus the degree, you know, could be where the value's at. But yeah, that's why I make it like whenever I meet somebody new, I always ask them, what do they do? You know, I'm like, what do you do? Because I want to know, like, how can I assist you? How could you, like, how could we potentially work together? But we don't ask each other those questions, or we feel weird about asking them. But yeah, I would, especially in college now, like, I would definitely tap into a network. And um, yeah, networking is very important.
I like that question too. Like, what do you do? Not who do you work for, but like, what do you do? Like, what are you talented at? Um, I've been more conscious of how I answer that question, but
What do you mean?
just like being more specific. Like, oh, I'm a creator. I help people become the best version of themselves. Like, almost like changing it to more of like a statement as opposed to sectioning yourself off to a particular label. Oh,
Mm.
I'm a graphic designer, or I do A, B, and C. Like,
Well,
really try and
what if you
figure
did
out.
both of those? Where you said, like, basically that's your mission was the first thing you said, and then the avenue which you execute on that mission would be what you would list as a graphic designer. You know, this, and this. You know, so I'm just like, what I do is I help people. I can't remember what you said, and how I do that is through graphic design. That way, they're understanding your mission. I feel like that's something
For
that
sure,
everybody should develop. Is like a statement that says
for sure.
what your mission is and how you do it, as you like a natural introduction. People ask, you know, who you are, what you do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like, definitely at least talk about your skill set in there. So, yeah, I'm just, again, this is something I've been slowly developing and working on over the past few years. Just being an entrepreneur, but because you develop so many different skill sets, so everything kind of broadens, and then you kind of have to bring your focus back in.
So, as an entrepreneur, what are there certain tools you use that help you to strategize, to plan, to organize your life as an entrepreneur? What are the tools that you use?
I actually created a template for like my daily planner, yeah, for lack of a better word, but it includes a thought of the day. I like to keep a certain either mantra or a certain just thought in my head throughout the day. I can easily glance at it, and it's just a nice reminder. And then I put positive habits that I want to establish for either that day, and most likely it's been what I've been doing over the past week. So it might include yoga, meditating, not touching my phone for the first hour of the day, um, and then whatever else. Then I'll have like my to-do list sorted out by top priority, and then miscellaneous and errands. And then I have another section for like appointments, and then two key things that I also put on there are my gratitude list, which I try and list at least 5 things a day. I don't always do that, so I try and put that on the positive habit creator just to make myself do it. So that has to be something that I actually established as like a permanent block. But the other is the feel good 5. I feel like every day you should do things that make you feel good. So not necessarily doing something too crazy or like spending money or anything, but it could be making yourself laugh, watching something funny on YouTube, or if working out is fun for you, going to the gym. To me, eating good is a form of self-care. So if you wanted to drink a smoothie, that's a feel-good item. So just different things like that I'll list out and try and make myself feel good in at least 5 different ways every day.
So you use a planner. Do you do like goal setting? Do you do like vision boards? Are there other tools that you use, or do you just do the planner and you kind of keep your goals in your head?
The goals I kind of separate by each brand. So like depending on the day, like I'll have a certain day for my bona fide FLA calls, and then we'll go through different goals or whatever for that specific brand. But like me as an individual, like I just continue to list out, it's almost like my to-do list as far as like my top priorities and priorities. So I might write something on the side, like I know I need to have this done by X date, to put that as far as like a goal or like a timeline, but I'm not constantly making goals.
Mm-hmm. What would you say? And I know you talked about a to-do list, which is another thing that some people, like there's a little bit of controversy about to-do lists. Like some people say like, don't do them. Some people say you do them. Some people say do them in the way you do them, where you do like the top priority to do, moderate to-dos and, low priority to-dos. How do you feel about to-do lists, and what do you feel like have you done that's effective with utilizing a to-do list?
I've always been good with to-do lists. So again, that's why I said everybody needs to tap into their true essence and figure out what works best for them, because lists work best for me. Like if I write it down, it's going to get done. But I mean, if I write a goal, and especially if it's like a number of value per se, like I've worked in sales before, they're always about setting goals and hitting quotas and all this stuff. For me, it almost becomes like a stressor. Like it doesn't necessarily help me take it to the next level. So that's why I said it depends on what I'm setting goals for. So like if it's something for my health, that's completely different. If it's something for work, that's a whole nother thing. So it really just depends. So,
or are you writing them down? Or are you just,
I would write them.
Write them down? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you do vision board?
I haven't done like the cutout, like taking the pictures out of magazines, but I've done a digital one before.
Mm-hmm. One thing that one of my mentors back in Florida, she told me to do is basically like a resource board. So about like you have your vision board and then you have a board of all your resources. So like people who are resources. Okay, I know Blair, and Blair knows these things. He's expertise in these things. I know this person. I have this family member who would support me financially. I have this person who knows, this field of whatever. So like having a which I never thought to do, but having like a resource board, that definitely can step up your level of strategizing.
That's dope. But tell me about your side. Like, how are you goal setting or planning?
So I do. I typically like will meet either like a 6-month plan or like a year-long plan where now that I know my values and I've kind of established my brand, I map out the different aspects of my life. So there's my academic life, so grad school. There is my financial life, which could include credit, Forex, and establishing other lines of income. Then there's like my coaching business, me actually doing my skills outside of my training. And then there's the other entrepreneur aspect of me, which is, wanting to create these brands that I'm working on. And then there's me as the ambassador. So I have goals as a Slick brand ambassador. So I have all these different avenues of my life that then I have goals for. So basically I'll have those written out, a major goal. And then for each of those, I break it down into like little action steps. So for my dissertation so grad school, defending my dissertation I set the date on there. And then under that, I set like little goals of, okay, what is the action step? So write my document by this time, finish analyzing my data by this time, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, I go back in there and plug in, okay, but what are the things I need to do? Like, what will I need? The materials I need, who I need to connect with. So I normally do that once every, probably once every quarter of the year. I do that, so every 4 months. And at the same time, I also have like very large calendars. I have a big, like almost a poster size for each month, and I map it out. I write down everything I need to in there. I have my planner that I write in every single day, where it's like my hour by hour by hour is like mapped out. And the planner, one of the planners I like the most, it did have some exercises in there, like the one you created, where I know one of them was like the positive habits, so I always put like drinking a gallon of water, things like that. It had a, what I liked, it really had like, there was a scale it had where it was like a valence scale from a very happy, excited emotion to a very sad emotion. And like, it just had you like go and think about things that happened during the day, and like you just plug them in. So you begin to see like, was I doing more things that had me up in this happier state? And then what were some things that had me down? Like, so it was a really cool way to kind of be more mindful of the things I was doing with my life and how they're making me feel. So that was a really good planner too. But yeah, I'm a very visual person, so I have to have, and I have a vision board. So just like I have to immerse myself in it, just because I think again it's my attention, like my attention span, I'm just like all over the place. So I have to constantly be reminded of what am I doing? What are you doing right now? So my planning is a little excessive to some.
Yeah, I mean, and I've tried it like that, and again, I'm gonna go back to like really see what works best for you, for the listeners out there, because I've been extra productive when I've done the planning hour by hour like that. But then I also burn myself out. So it comes with its pros and cons for me. So I think I'm always kind of really just like water. Like I'm really just flowing. Like I do plan it out day by day with how I structure mine now. And like I've probably been doing this the past couple of months, and it's been working well. So I'm also one who likes to evaluate after a short period of time of doing a particular process, and like, is this working best for me, or should I make some tweaks, try something different? So I think in that way, I kind of challenge myself and to where I'm not just staying at status quo or the same. And I'm someone who hates feeling stagnant. So if I do feel like I'm hitting a plateau, I'm like, all right, I need to change something in my process or in my planning or prep that will propel me to that next level.
Mm-hmm. And when you are thinking about your goals, do you follow the whole SMART goal setting? The
Yeah. Most
specific,
times.
measurable. What's the A? I always forget that.
Specific, measurable,
Achievable.
I was gonna say attainable.
Yeah. Attainable, achievable, realistic,
Realistic, and then
timely.
Okay,
I think
timely.
it's timely. Yeah. Yeah. So do you follow that when you're doing your goals?
I have. I need to reincorporate that because that's actually a really good process.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bring that up to the team in our next meeting. But I need to reincorporate that. But I mean, honestly, like when I say even having a certain vision or like an end goal in mind, is definitely within that SMART realm. Just that's kind of how I'm wired and programmed anyway. So like, even if it hadn't been written down as far as the whole acronym, it's still in there. Like we would
You
just
have
need
the
to go and
skill.
pick it.
Like some people, they don't have that skill to know that there are these components to a goal but you just naturally think like that just because you have that experience and then just that higher awareness anyways.
Yeah, it's different for everybody for sure.
So
What I was gonna say, one thing I was gonna ask, how often do you change your vision board?
you know what? I typically like don't change it until like I'm moving. So this time when I moved to California, I brought my vision board, which I had like, it's broken down into different pieces. So like I could just reassemble it. And when I was about to put it up, I was like, well, maybe some of the stuff isn't relevant anymore. Or I wasn't being super thoughtful when I put it on there because it doesn't necessarily, like all of my vision board isn't like specific things that you would see in there. Some ideas are written in there, but it's more like it's an image of a life that I want to live. But there's like some pictures like Lamborghinis on there, and it's like, I guess that represents me wanting to like just be adventurous and, you know, but do I really care about having a Lambo? No, but would it be cool? Sure. So if it happens to pop up in my life just because it's on my vision board, okay, can't complain. Right. But I think like I'm not going to reevaluate my vision board and take anything off. I'm just going to like add to it. Just because I feel like it then tells a story of kind of like where you've been. And so I'm not going to like change it. I'm just going to keep adding to it.
Interesting, because I know, like I think I caught a glimpse of yours, but like I know it's really like a piece of art. So that's why I was asking, like, how often do you change it, or when did you actually make that one?
I started this one with different pieces probably back in 2017. Oh no, maybe like 2018.
Dang.
Yeah, 2018, and I just been like adding to it. So yeah,
that's interesting. Like again, I to me, I think it's fascinating just to find out like other people's processes and like the things that they do and that work for them. Because even in that same thing, I'll give you an example with, I think I might have shared it, but when I moved to Seattle, I literally thought about Seattle and could see Seattle every day for like 2-3 years before it happened. So it's like I might not necessarily have a visual representation of the vision board, but like I'm always thinking about it. So even what I would like to manifest now, like it's always being thought about. So to me, it's almost like, and not even necessarily a point to where it's like hard to detach, but just the way my mind is, like I'm never really dwelling on the past. Like it's always about the present moment and what's coming up.
And you know what? That is very important. The fact that you have so much mental control, like most people are spending the predominant amount of their time thinking about things they don't want. You're at the stage to where that happens very minimally. So your mind is naturally filled with everything that you do want. And your ability to attract those things and to move forward on those things is so much stronger than other people because most of their mind is consumed with things from the past that they no longer want. Yeah. So it's like you less often be reminded because it's always there. It's not like you're thinking about anything else.
True. I think it's probably good to share like how I got to that point. And honestly, it's taking a mental detox, like taking a break from social media from time to time, like getting outside more, connecting with the people who truly matter, and really limiting distractions. Like that's really what it boiled down to. Like I always remember this 2-week period, like right after I quit my job 3 years ago. But when you talk about planning, this is probably like the best planning I've ever done down to the T in like a 2-3 week span. Once I found out I was gonna move to Seattle, I knew I had to sell like everything in my apartment, like certain bills I needed to go ahead and like, you know, put in for to close out and like pay off certain stuff and like arrange for my car to be shipped. Like it was so much stuff I had to do. So like I would literally, it was kind of like a mix of how I plan my day now, but I was using it more so like, all right, I know on Monday I need to do this, Tuesday I'm gonna do this. And so it was kind of like foreshadowing and planning at the same time, to where I could just see everything down on paper. I didn't necessarily have to set a goal, like everything was already down. So in that couple weeks span, I wasn't on social media. I was only talking to people really who would call me, hit me, or who I would need to hit. Like it was relevant combo. Like everything was relevant, everything was purposeful, and I was just knocking stuff out, and like literally how I needed it to go, it went, and even better. Like I ended up getting stuff done before ahead of time, and like everything just worked out perfect. So I know it can be done. And I think at that point, I realized the power of just like taking a detox and like a step back from everything. It's like none of this stuff really matters for real. Like, who cares what Will and Jada got going on for real? That has nothing to do with what I got going on right now.
Right. Just distractions.
Distractions.
Yep. And there's something you said that was really important too. I'm blanking now, but yeah, you distract me with that Will and Jada thing.
I mean, it's just crazy. It's, every week is something different. You get on and it's like, bro, when are we as a society gonna stop falling for this stuff? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it has no bearing on what you got going. Like, the stuff like with Wayfair and all of that stuff that's coming to the surface, that stuff matters. These people need to be gotten up out of there. But the average celebrity and who they dating, who cares?
Right.
Like,
that just shows where the focus is. People who set goals and who are goal oriented, they're not spending time researching that mess. They're not. But I remember what I was gonna say, that when you had a belief that you were gonna get these things done when it came down to your move to Seattle, you were able to kind of relax through that process, even though it's a huge move. You were able to relax because you had confidence that it was going to happen. One, because you just believe everything works out for you, but two, because you had taken time to write down all the things you needed. And I think just that process of writing down the things that need to get done, that gives you a level of confidence and a level of control that then breeds that confidence. And when you have that confidence, you're more likely to obtain that goal. So that's why, like, that's preparation, like being strategic about stuff, like having a plan helps you to be more confident. When you're more confident, you can attract everything else that you need to make that goal a reality.
For sure. I think that's something that definitely was understated when we were growing up, the importance of writing and the power of writing in our words. I also think it's ironic how we were, and correct me if I'm wrong, we were probably the last generation to learn cursive handwriting.
Yep.
So if you even break down just that cursive writing, like you're writing curses. So to take away the power from our youth and you don't even know it, like, to me, that's mind blowing in itself. Say that again.
Because they're just typing now.
Just typing. So it's like, wow, you're really limiting manifesting abilities in a sense. Yeah. It's interesting.
I had one of my, it's a 10-year-old young girl who I work with, she's one of my clients, my coaching clients. Our first session, I had her write down basically like what all her dreams are, all the things that she wants to achieve, like everything that she wants to do in life. And at first she was doubtful. She was like, I can't do all these things. So she was like, hesitant about writing things down. I was like, no, like whatever you're thinking about, write it down, put it on papers. Nothing's gonna be too big or outlandish or stupid. So she wrote it. She was like, wrote all these things down. And then I was talking to her, fast forward like 3 sessions later, she's telling me how she went to this camp to be like, it was an acting camp. And one of the things that she had written down on that thing was to be an actress. And then when she said it, she was like, oh, I did it. And it blew her mind that she had already accomplished this thing that she had just written down. Like when she first wrote it down, she was doubtful about doing it. But a few weeks later, she had done it. And she like, just to see her light up and like realize she had did it. I was like, oh my God, this is what I live for.
Yeah, that's
just that awesome. Power writing it down. Yeah.
And that's one thing, like, I love seeing people win, man. Yes. I love it. Like when you can tell me a success story about something, man, that to me, it feels like I won. So I like that. That's dope.
Yeah, because we're all playing we're on the same team. Like if you are a person living in your truth, you just want to see, because that it's possible for us all to win and all have what we want. Like you winning doesn't mean anything less for me. Like winning, like it's abundant. The winnings are in abundance.
And that kind of piggybacks off of what you said earlier, like with just the programming, like a lot of people attract what they don't want or think about what they don't want. But like even in that, like energy attracts like energy. So if you're big up in somebody or, you know,
Yep.
sharing that love, appreciation, or that joy with that person, that energy is going to come right back to you. So that's why it's no point in hating, like, and there's no, I think we've been misled as far as thinking that everything is a competition, and it's really not. Like everybody has their own unique gift, and what's for you is for you.
Yep. And that's the most beautiful thing. It's like when you can truly just be, I think that's like we walk around with these guards up because we're trying to protect ourselves and try to protect our territory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not necessary. It's like you said, what's meant for you is meant for you. So no matter if somebody steals one of your ideas, okay, there's more where that came from. There's more than you have more ideas inside you than you can even execute on in your lifetime. Like there's so much in there. Like I'm not gonna sit here and get upset because somebody, ripped one of my ideas. Like, good for you. You executed. Okay.
Yo, that's actually even a gem that you just helped me with, because it's like I have so many ideas, and like I'm definitely one you can ask friends. Like I'll share ideas. I'm not a hoarder, but like I still have plenty of ideas that I have not shared. So just what you said, like the abundance is out there, and like if you really start to tap in, whatever you can, I mean, I can't even put it into words, but you get into a flow and the ideas just start coming, and you see certain things, you get inspired. And that's one reason I always tell people to travel. Like when you go to different environments and you interact with different people, different cultures, see different things, you get inspired. You might see a different business and like, dang, we don't have that back at home, or that's something dope that I might like to do. And then next thing you know, you brought that business back to where you're from. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's important.
That's why there's like this saying that diversity breeds innovation. It's just because like if you're only seeing the same thing all the time with the same people, like how can you expect something new to sprout out of that? You have to broaden, you have to, be open to new experiences. Even if you don't agree with it, there's still something of value. Like it might not add value to maybe like 10 years from now, but yeah. And this is another reason why it's important to have a clean body. Like when I have a clean body, when I'm meditating on the regular, when I'm going running, when I'm working out, that's when I get the best inspiration. I get so many billion-dollar ideas when my body is light and clean. Like when I eat heavy, it's just like my brain is just muddled down. And just like,
Yeah, I lived it for so long to where now I've been eating clean for so long. I know how that feels, but I haven't experienced it in so long to where it's just like, man, um, I don't know. Like I almost feel just gratitude right now for how good my body feels compared to how bad it felt. So man, just like Makeda said, take care of your body. Like that is your temple. So treat yourself good, eat good.
yep. Yep. And I know Blair earlier you're talking about how like you kind of just like flow, you feel like you flow through life, like everything is just easy and flowing. And I think it's because you have a foundation, which is you have a plan in mind, you've been strategic about your life to where you can just follow your spirit and flow because you have a foundation built already. And most people don't even have that foundation. So they're flowing and they're just flowing all the wrong directions because they're not grounded on anything.
Again, that kind of goes back to that analogy. It's like you just had McDonald's. That's not intuition. That's indigestion. Like I'll never forget that ever. But
Yeah.
people make decisions, big decisions after eating some trash, and so it's like you can't really think clearly. Like your gut is really your second brain. So what's the foundation of that decision that you're making? Like how aligned is that with what you're supposed to be doing? So yeah.
Yep. So I think that is a great way to wrap up this episode. I enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know Blair enjoyed it. But, we definitely encourage you all to get strategic about your life. One, it helps identify what are your values, what do you stand for, what is important to you, and then from there, create goals that are, what was it, specific.
Smart.
That are smart
Specific,
goals.
measurable, attainable. R was realistic and timely.
So set smart goals that align with your values. Okay, and do this for different aspects of your life. You might have a goal for your physical health. You might have a goal for your relationships. You might have one for your business and whatever else. But break down that based off of your values and create a goal for that align with your values, and then break it down even further to see, okay, what are the action steps to obtaining this goal? Identify what your resources are, and keep and maintain a clean body, a clean mind, clean spirit. That way, you can be aware as you're executing, and you can know when you're off track without, putting yourself in too much of a hole. Did you have anything else, Blair?
I just had a thought. What would this world be like without diversity? It'd be pretty bland.
Yes.
Pretty bland. Y'all have a good week as always. Stay positive. Surround yourself with positive people. Keep those vibes high. Oh, keep them immune systems high too.
Yes.
You never know what they're doing out here.
Meditate.
But,
breathe.
Definitely breathe. Definitely breathe.
All right, y'all. This is the wrap for season 1 of the Parallel Paths podcast. We appreciate you being here from the beginning. We're so excited for the next season and to share with you guys everything as we've learned and we've grown through this first season, and all that we're going to continue to do. So definitely stay tuned. If you've hopped in late in the season, go back and listen to some of the first episodes, and see our development as, we are, novice to the whole podcasting. But, I think the most important thing was that we completed a season. And I appreciate my co-host here. He's been amazing. I couldn't ask for a better co-host.
Likewise, it's been great. I don't know. I'm happy we did it. That's a goal. That's checked off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, we got a lot on the way. Give us feedback. Let us know if there's certain things you want to hear us talk about, certain topics, whatever. Drop them in the comments. Definitely feel free. Like, share, subscribe, all that.
Yes. All right, y'all. Until next season, peace and love.
Peace.